quorum present for both the MPO board and for the COG board. Today we will have First Selectman Moan from Thomaston in the chair.
Thank you. So with that, we'll call the meeting to order at whatever time this happens to be. And please, everyone rise for the pledge of allegiance. Zeke, please lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please call roll.
I'm going to call the ones I believe we have.
That'll work.
City of Ansonia, Sheila O'Malley.
Present.
From the town of Cheshire, Jerry Sitko. I think he's here. Jerry?
Maybe he needs to turn on his mic.
Okay, Rick,
Okay, good.
thank you.
From the city of Derby, Mayor Zekin.
Here.
From the town of Middlebury, First Selectman St. John.
Here.
From the borough of Naugatuck, Mayor Hess.
Here.
From the town of Oxford, First Selectman Temple.
Here.
And First Selectman, would you like to introduce your staff member?
Good luck.
Oh, yes, Helen Long. Helen's new grant coordinator.
Thank you. From the town of Southbury, First Selectman Manville.
Here,
From the town of Thomaston, First Selectman Moan.
Here.
From the city of Waterbury, we have the mayor's chief of staff, Mackenzie DeMack.
Here.
From the town of Wolcott, Mayor Dunn.
Here.
And from the town of Woodbury, First Selectman Perkinson.
Barbara, turn on your mic.
So we have First Selectman Perkinson with us.
Perhaps not.
We had her. I don't know where she went.
You still have quorum, Rick?
I believe we still have a quorum. That'll be enough. All right, well, I'm gonna mark her absent right now because, oh, there, I see her there.
She's in the room.
All right, we'll assume she's here. For the purpose of the
That'll
quorum.
work if you see her present.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum for both bodies present. I'm gonna just quickly go through. We're also joined today by John Field from Dennis Region 5, Janine Lupo from Representative Hayes' office, Sarah Radacey from the Connecticut Department of Transportation, Sam Lobon from Eversource, Hetty Ayers from Eversource. We're joined today for the first time, recognize Joe Violet from the Chamber of Commerce. He's the head of policy and economic development for the Chamber. We're also joined today by Lou Mangini from Representative Delora's office. And let's see, Tommy Hyde is with us from Naugatuck Valley Development Corp. And I believe the rest are staff from the agency.
So we certainly have a full house today, no question about that, virtually or present. So moving along, before we get into our regular agenda, is there any public comment? Either from those in the room or those virtually present?
We had no request for online access previously. I don't know if
Okay.
we have anyone else who's online who wants to.
Did anyone indicate by raising their hand or entering in a chat? If not,
We have nothing.
okay, then we will move along to item number 2. And this is CNVMPO. Voting members are,
These are the 13 members of the towns that are not Ansonia, Derby, Seymour, or Shelton.
very good. Okay, item number 1A, approval of amendments 2021. Gabe?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So today I'd like to put forth 5 tip amendments for today's board meeting. The first one is for the section 5339 low and no emissions vehicle program, which will help with the purchasing of 10 electric buses. And this will help for the CT Transit, Waterbury Division of CT Transit. And it will also include the purchasing of 10 charging stations. No local match is required. The second project is the section 5337 good repair program. And this will cover the rehabilitation of train bridges across Metro North, which will include the Waterbury line, and no local match is required for this project. And then another project I'd like to put forth in front of the board is the Section 5339 Bus Facilities Program, which will modernize equipment and cross-CT transit bus fleet. And this will cover Region 5, and there's no local match for this project. And then finally, there's 2 CMAQ projects, which will help leverage funding for the Transportation Demand Management Program to help fund outreach and marketing services to promote carpool and ride sharing. And this is a statewide program. And those are 2 projects from CMAQ.
Okay, so we have a variety of projects here. Rick, do you need them all acted on individually?
No.
Or can we act on them collectively? We can act on them collectively?
If there are no questions, then
No, I would ask for a motion.
So moved.
Second, Sheila.
Sheila's a second. Through the chair, who made the motion
Correct.
online?
Done.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tommy. Is there any discussion on these matters? Any discussion? Hearing none, call for a vote. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Are there any opposed? And then I will therefore assume that it's carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving along to item number B, 2B. It's the Unified Planning Work Program. Mark?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Very quickly, we presented the UPWP at our March meeting. We've submitted it to DOT and received comments from US DOT as well as CONDOT. We made those revisions. So today we're asking for endorsement. Next slide, please. And just these are the main tasks that are included in our planning program. It covers a 2-year program. We have 4 main tasks, and then task 2 is divided into 3. We have data collection analysis. That's where we do our performance measures. Our traffic count program, we use street light data, transportation analytics. Again, it's just to assess travel patterns. The task 2 is our main transportation planning task, broken into the regional planning, which covers primarily our metropolitan transportation plan, transit planning, and then active transportation, which is pedestrian and bike. Task 3 is program management and administration. Task 4 are the other technical assistance and program implementation. And then this slide is just showing our budget over the next 2 years. And again, the dollars are set by US DOT, and we'll have a 10% match from state sources and then 10% from local. So again, it's the program that covers our planning activities over the next 2 years.
Okay, thank you. Motion to approve that resolution?
So moved.
George Temple, is there a second? Is there a second?
Yes. Second.
Thank you. Ed St. John seconds. Discussion, anyone? Any questions? Therefore, I'll call for a vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Are there any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. Mark, next matter, self-certification piece.
Yes, this is just a federal requirement that MPOs are required to certify that they are conducting their transportation planning program in accordance with federal regulations. We adopt this self-certification whenever we do a major action, such as approving a UPWP, which we just did, our transportation plan, or our major update of our transportation improvement program. So basically what the resolution says is that we certify that we are conducting our program in accordance with federal regulations. So that's basically, just the board endorsing that we do what we're supposed to be doing, how we're supposed to be doing it.
Very good. And I trust we are, because I trust I know you as staff. And I know we're doing it correctly. All said, call for a motion, please. Motion to accept.
I'll make that motion.
Ed St. John resolves, made the motion. Second, please.
Second.
George Temple, second. All in favor, aye.
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 Any opposed? Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Thank you. Now we'll go to NVCOG administrative item number 3, an approval of the minutes of the last meeting, April 19th.
Make a motion to accept.
Zeke moves. Second.
Second.
Okay, George Semple, second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll move on. Motion passes. Item B, approval of agency financial reports. Michael?
Thank you very much. I'm just pulling the reports on the screen. So we are 75% through the year. It's for period ending March 31st. Our net position is a deficit of 66,000 right now. That's mainly due for 2 reasons. Pardon me. The legal associated with the Kinneytown Dam that we assumed, as well as our indirect rate is outperforming the approved rate. Essentially, because we didn't fully staff at the beginning of the year, we're a little bit over. However, I'm projecting about a $10,000 deficit in total, which if it wasn't for the Kinneytown, we would actually be positive a couple 20, 30,000. Are there any questions?
What are we gonna do about the deficit?
That'd be covered by the fund balance, which I've built up over the past couple of years.
Oh, okay.
We planned this and approved it through the executive board when we took on the additional legal costs.
Yeah, the fund balance is quite healthy, I might add, George, although I don't know what it is off the top of my head. I do remember looking at it and having discussion about it. Rick will disagree with me on that, but I believe it's quite healthy and certainly can take care of this.
It's a good fund balance.
So if there are no additional questions, a motion to accept the financial report is presented.
I'll make that motion.
Ed St. John,
Second.
second by Zeke. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. Auditor, item C, designation of annual auditor. Mike?
Thank you. So on March 24th, the audit committee voted to accept the cost proposal for the audit firm King and Associates. They were the only firm that actually submitted a proposal. But they voted to accept the cost proposal under a not to exceed based on their figure, which is about $23,000. So essentially now we have to assign the appointment of auditor to OPM by May 31st. And I would like approval from the board to appoint them as our auditor for the year.
A motion, and then certainly we'll have discussion on the matter.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Chair, if I could just.
Yes.
The motion we're looking for is to appoint King as the auditor for upcoming fiscal years and to empower the mayor, the chairman to sign the contract.
Very good. And I believe that, so,
I'll second.
okay, very good. So we have a motion and a second. Are there questions?
Well, we really don't have a choice, right?
Correct. There was only one that bid, and we actually,
If we make them,
initially one firm bid, so we released it, expanded the solicitation, the deadline, and the same firm bid.
We have no choice. We have no choice.
Right.
That's kind of what it comes down to, George. It's unfortunate that we could not get any additional bidders. In fact, the current auditor would not bid it again. So for whatever reason that may be, we certainly tried to expand it as Michael indicated, but we're now up against a hard deadline. So this bid was, do you recall how much more, Michael, than the previous?
Yes, I actually have it right here. It is $7,800 more. However, it's only about $4,700 more than what I initially projected the cost to be.
So while it's unfortunate,
Cost of living.
we're kind of, to George's point, we're up against the wall on
Right.
this.
What was the total cost, Mike,
The-
for the year?
for the year, last year was 15,400.
How much?
15,400. This year's coming to $23,550.
Yeah, it's pretty consistent, the increase.
It's
We're
still-
seeing the same thing on our end.
Are you?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. It's understood.
And a lack of people interested. in-
Well, that's clearly the case here. Lack of people interested in doing the audit.
Hard to believe we have that issue.
It is hard to believe, but things are what they are, I guess, huh? So I'll call for a vote on that, please. All in favor to designate the auditing firm of, please, Rick?
King
And
and
associates,
Associates.
For the sum of,
23,000.
Well, it's a multi-year contract,
Yeah.
so it's different amount in each year.
well, yeah, but in the initial year anyways.
Yeah, it's what I,
Yep.
the motion would be to designate the auditor and empower the chair to sign the contract as for the amounts submitted in the public proposal.
We have that
Make that
motion on the
motion.
floor. So again, I'll call for the vote, please, all in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number D, still you, Michael. Year-end projections.
Thank you. So I kind of covered this in item number B. Essentially, we're projecting about a $10,000 deficit. Last year, our indirect rate was rather low. So we did try to build it up a little bit, but also because the budget included a full staff, but we didn't start actually fully staffing up into this past couple months. It's underperforming. But all in all, having a little bit of a higher indirect rate would be a little healthier moving forward to cover more costs, expansion, increases in rent, other legal fees as well.
Mhm.
So we don't run into a deficit in the upcoming years.
And again, the only reason we had a deficit this year is because of our Kinney Town project that we're after legally and so on. So I don't believe there's any motion necessary and that's just the reason.
Just an
Okay.
update. If I may, Mr. Chairman, we'll be scheduling, we're in the midst of scheduling an executive board meeting, probably for the end of May, another one in June, and then the budget adoption will be scheduled for the June regular board meeting. So that's our current plan and schedule. Hopefully by then we have a state budget in place. But no significant changes from what we presented previously for the upcoming year.
Very good. Thank you. So now we'll go right to you, Rick, with the director's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the first thing I'd like to do is ask 4 people to stand up. We have 4 new employees that we've hired over the last 30 days. And I'll start with Josh, and then we'll go around the table. Just ask you to introduce yourselves again. Josh has been here. He's already been here for 30 days, but I'll ask him.
That's okay.
Sure. Josh Lucar, Assistant Director of Planning.
I'll take my mask off. so
Yes.
you can see me. My name is Savannah Nicole Fialba, and I'm our regional municipal planner.
And I'm Rich Donovan, new transportation planner.
Christine O'Neill, regional environmental planner.
So we're really excited. We have 4 really great hires, and we're looking forward to, now that we've filled out the organizational chart, we're looking to be in better fiscal position and in a better position to deliver services to the towns. So I want to thank all of them for standing up and introducing yourselves. I would say there's also an additional hire. So for those of you who know Desiree Blanchard, she's a part-time employee here, has been for several years. She's going to go full-time. She is unfortunately leaving Mayor O'Leary's office to take full-time employment with us. But she's a great person for those of you who haven't met her before. And
We're excited for it.
one of the things that we're doing is we're consolidating our compliance for all of our programs with civil rights Title VI, and looking forward to starting up a new diversity, equity, inclusion committee, which will put together all the requirements that we're seeing from the federal government, from the state, as well as positioning ourselves and helping our towns to position themselves in the best possible position for equity and purposes of properly expending dollars and ensuring that they're expended equally across the communities. So Desiree will be working on that. What we've done is we've consolidated it in a communications office, and DEI will be run under communications. We'll consolidate the existing civil rights, Title VI, and other operations. So it's going to make us more efficient, but it's also going to make us more responsive to the community and provide better information to the community about the work we do. So we're looking forward to that. Leslie Barwin, who you've all met before, as well as Desiree and Gabe will be working on that activity. We're going to be coming back to the board probably in a month or so and looking for a subcommittee of the board to work on this and to put together the policy before we adopt it and start to implement. So there'll be plenty of opportunity for discussion as we go forward on that as well.
Legislative updates, Rick?
Yeah, I won't get into any bills. We have no radical changes from anything we've been tracking. You all received a hot list email from John during the week this week. We're happy to answer any questions if there are any about the bills, if anyone has any, but no significant changes from where we've been. The legislature is negotiating the budget apparently and a couple of other key bills. Everything else seems to be hanging fire until they get for the end of the session.
Certainly, the only comment I would make is I kind of tune in a little bit to CGA and see what's going on up there. And for the most part, whatever has come out of committees, I won't say in entirety, but some of the things that we might find detrimental at the local level are passing. So,
At least they got pizza for the state food.
Pardon me?
Pizza's the state food.
Yeah, and that's important.
They ran that through, so.
I'm glad they spent,
I'm trying to
spent significant time on that. Kenny Town?
Sure. So we, on Kennington Dam, we've had some really good progress. Mayor Hess and Mayor O'Leary have been leading the charge on this. We had a meeting with Commissioner Dykes and staff at DEEP, and what the mayors have gotten from DEEP is a very, very strong commitment to this project. So DEEP issued most recently, and there's a memo in your packet from Aaron with regard to this update. But in the interest of time, I'm just going to do it myself. So the DEEP has placed conditions that lay out a timeline for compliance with the requirements for fish passage, which will run through till about January of 2022. We may find out at any point between now and January whether the firm is in compliance. Hydroland is the new owner, but it's a very strong letter. It provides a good roadmap to success and a way to measure the work that's being done by the dam owner. I will note that Hydroland is already in violation of the timeline that was set forth by FERC. There are items that were due in April. They were not completed yet. There was a meeting 2 weeks ago or last Friday at the site between DEEP and Fish and Wildlife and the dam owner. And Fish and Wildlife is continuing the engineering study, which we expect to report in June. So we reserve our rights to additional courses of action on this, and working with DEEP and particularly with the congressional staff of Rich Kehoe. Senator Blumenthal's office has been a key person in this. So unless there are any questions, that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Rick. We'll move along. John, MS. Shared Services.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. As I've noted in the last couple of months of meetings here, municipal solid waste and recycling disposal is a very strong interest of multiple mayors and first selectmen on the board. We're planning to put together a regional working group to take a regional approach of our towns. We ask all the mayors and first selectmen to give thought in the next month who you'd like to appoint to serve on that board from your municipality. In a lot of cases, it would be a lead public works person, somebody who deals with the refuse and recycling of your community. We're also going to be represented as a COG on CCM's working group, because we know that this has to be a statewide approach to some of the issues that we're dealing with here. I was on the last call last week with CCM's working group, as was Mayor Dunn, and we'll be following up to kind of bring this hopefully up to the forefront of what they're going to work on. Right now, they're just working on legislative session stuff, largely with the statewide group of CCM, but this COG will be represented there. We look forward to hearing your suggestion. You're going to have serve on this committee next month.
Along those lines, John, correct me if I'm wrong, as of July 1, the Hartford plant is going to be decommissioned?
2022.
2022, very good. I'm glad I'm wrong, that it's another year out.
It's
So we
gonna
still have
come very
opportunity.
fast.
So we still have opportunity to act.
John, you're gonna send a reminder for those lead?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Anything other, John?
That's it for the moment, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Joanna, let's talk about emergency management. Joanna?
Yep, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for this time. I want to first hand it over to John Field. He's the Region 5 Regional Coordinator to give some kind of a little bit more of an update on COVID-19 response.
Yeah, thank you, Joanna. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, just real quick, COVID, obviously, we're still doing a lot of work on this. You know, the biggest thing right at the moment, executive orders are changing by the minute. And, you know, obviously, they were set to expire 5/19, which is next week. But the legislation has given the governor some leeway and extensions out to 6/20, but then also CDC has made some modifications to their record, you know, to what they see as necessary as far as face mask, as you probably all heard through open source media. And it sounds like the governor is going to follow lead with CDC. So just stay tuned for more coming out this next week in regards to that. Still doing some testing. A lot of the same day surgeries or any type of surgery is required to test prior to surgery, and then also some employers are requiring testing. So we do maintain some testing opportunities, but obviously it's been really reduced. Mobile vaccine units from FEMA. We now have 2 in the state. We did get a second one. One is actually in Waterbury today. Will be the last day for Waterbury, doing a second dose from the first time around. And then next week, they'll be going to Danbury for 2 days to do second doses. They are also making available first doses for Pfizer, and also they have available Johnson & Johnson. So people can actually walk up and get that. We still have the 35 MVU mobile vaccine unit vans that are going out. Griffin Hospital sponsors those. If you see a need for that, please let me know. There's a lot of messaging being worked on in regards to, you know, trying to get more people vaccinated and trying to really work hard on that. Also working with FEMA on PDAs or that disaster assistance. Some towns in nonprofit organizations have been working with FEMA and working with our public assistance unit to try to start some of that process. Also, American Rescue funds and trying to figure out where they're going. You know, the state has some, you know, the governor has some pretty focused ideas on where a lot of that money's going and helping to kick the economy back into motion here. And then CT Unite is still working with residents in regards to rental and landlord assistance. Then we also, you know, I'll let Joanna talk more about the long-term recovery and how we're trying to refocus things a little bit there. And then 2 other things that we've been working on lately is the Colonial Pipeline. That did get restarted yesterday, but we've identified the vulnerability of such, so there's a lot of talk on planning to try to keep that from happening again. I don't, if open source media has the fact that, you know, the Colonial Pipeline paid millions of ransom dollars for this particular hack. And there's a lot of work and a lot of planning being done to try to keep this from happening again. And then what is the ripple effect of this being shut down? The state of Connecticut obviously is affected by this. So, you know, what does that mean? And we'll see how that continues. Also, as you probably all heard last night, the nursing home strikes were pushed off and postponed for a little bit, but that doesn't mean they're not going to happen. Still got May 28th as a date that some of these nursing homes will go into a strike. And we continue to work with DPH on that and trying to provide whatever support we can to do that. But I think that's it. Joanna, you want to add something in regard, unless there's any questions, but Joanna can add more on the long-term recovery stuff.
John,
And
John,
thanks.
I have a quick question regarding the issue with Colonial. Is it a problem that is common with many others, or is that something specific to their software?
Well, that's a great question, and that's what they're investigating right now. Is this same vulnerability in other places? Because if it is, how do we fix it? So that's what the planning process is now, and I'll call it an evaluation process, because they need to know that. That's a great question, and I don't know if they have the answer to all that yet. So they're really working hard to try to figure that out.
Fair enough. Thank you. Zeke, you had a question?
Yeah, John, the state of Connecticut, I heard this morning, are they going back full from a remote July 1st? Do you know?
That's what I read.
So yes, what's happening, Mayor, is they are, we got a letter from the governor yesterday to all of us that as of June 1st, all our normal business with the public will reopen June 1st. All our employees, or all the state of Connecticut employees, will go back to pre-COVID work July 1st. So that means they will all be coming back into the offices and working like normal business.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Buena?
Yeah, great. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. So just to give you a update on the long-term recovery, the actual steering committee work. We had a meeting this past May 12th. There haven't been any immediate needs submitted, unmet needs submitted since April 1st. So it feels like there's a good plateau happening with especially immediate response needs. That being said, though, it seems like there still is need for food, especially in the greater Waterbury area. And the Red Cross and obviously John Field and company is helping out with all of that. There is going to be, as John mentioned, there's going to be a pivot from this more immediate response of health and human services into long-term economic recovery. And the state is doing this pivot, and as well as the region. And to that end, it's not going to be just the Demis Region 5, but there's also going to be the whole of the NVCOG municipalities involved in that. And a lot of that also is being worked with John DiCarlo and the update to the community economic development strategy plan. We expect this work for the long-term economic recovery, at least at the COG involvement, to be being done until at least through June 2022. So there's still going to be more, addressing of what has happened as a result of COVID public health pandemic. I'm just going to move on real quickly to Region 5 REPT Regional Emergency Planning Team. The 2021 federal requirements for regional projects have asked that there be a specification on protection of soft targets and crowded places. So for the Region 5 Regional Emergency Planning Team, about $46,025 are going to be spent on projects that may include addressing active shooter training, barricade systems, and light towers. And regarding the variable message sign inspections that happened at Middlebury Public Works Department last month, the plan is for the ADCO units which were put out of service to be cannibalized, and for parts to fix the other units that are being salvaged. And finally, the community emergency response teams, the annual CERT training day, still being discussed, and will be further information after the June 17th, 2021 meeting. And I can answer any questions if anyone has any.
Question for Joanna?
That's it.
Thank you, Joanna.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Moving
Thank
along,
you.
Mark Nielsen, you're up now. Let's talk about Loadshop.
All right, thank you. This just
I
came
think-
up.
I was gonna present this one.
Okay,
Discussed. So there's been new communication on it. So I'll try and make this as short and sweet for the board members who are not familiar with this project. This project has been going on for 10 years. It's been in design. It's State Route 34, Main Street through Derby. We have a request that we got last night. Also received a tip amendment request for Greater Bridgeport Valley MPO for a local share of $9 million. Mark, what's the total estimate on the project right now?
about 27 million.
So it's a $27 million project. It was originally budgeted at $10 million back in 2010. The project was then shifted from the original concept of a two-lane road with a middle turning lane, left-hand turn lane, and a median, to a four-lane road, which is the department insisted on the four-lane road on their facility. So that and utility costs have escalated like crazy on this project. They're asking for $9 million of local funds. We have analyzed the project costs. There are local roads involved. So the local road construction cost estimate for roads, sidewalks, streetscape for Minerva and Elizabeth Street comes to just over $2 million. Then the state has prorated a share of the utilities in this project at $900,000 for the local roads. There's also an upgrade of the street lighting, the period lighting. The department was not happy. Normally, it's not a non-participating cost. Originally, it's in the project. So we've come up with a number, the delta between the old regular street lighting and the upgraded street lighting, somewhere in the neighborhood of $500,000. All told, it does not come to $4 million. And we think that that's the right number for the cost associated with the local roads on this project. So we were prepared to present you today with a staff recommendation to allocate $4 million from the Lotsa program to the local roads associated with this project until we got the $9 million request last night. I did promise the department I would put the $9 million request forward to the board for your discussion. And I don't know if Mayor Zekin wants to speak to the issue.
Wow, please.
I'd like to, thank you, Rick. Been mayor there 3 years. We've been going through this project. I've lived there for 55 years. As Rick could attest to this too, that this project has been dragging on. I happened to have a chance meeting with the governor last week down in New Haven, and we were talking about Derby. I was telling him about Route 34 project, how it is moving forward. So he's very excited to see that, and hopefully I'm going to get him down to Derby next month. And for them to be, for DOT once again to prolong this, inconvenience the residents of Derby, the residents of the Lower Naugatuck Valley, the residents of the state, because you've got Route 34, Route 8, Route 15 right down the road, 2 bus routes, Greater Bridgeport, New Haven. We have so much traffic, 60,000 vehicles a day downtown Derby. Traffic is atrocious down there right now. For this to be coming at the 11th hour is unacceptable. Like I said, I had a chance meeting with the governor last week. If I have to go up to the commissioner's office to demand a meeting to get this project moving forward, we've waited too long downtown Derby. We waited too long for the Lower Naugatuck Valley to get this done. So I would recommend that this board supports Derby and get this done, because it's going to be a win-win for the whole valley, for the whole COG down there. So I thank you for all the hard work that this COG has been doing in the last 10 years. A 10-year project is ridiculous that we have to wait this long.
Yeah, I support Derby. And I agree with you. It's been going on a long time. But I'm wondering if in the planning of this project, the state took into consideration that there's a proposed bridge from Monroe to Oxford on Route 34. Not much in Oxford, but it's really going to impact downtown Derby. And they haven't even had the courtesy to get Derby and Seymour involved.
Well, you did.
Yeah,
You
I
brought us
did.
to that meeting.
I did. But, you know, I just hope that if they're going to plan something like this, there's gonna be a big influx of trucks that'll be going downtown Derby as a result of a bridge. Right now, for those of you that don't know, we have the Stevenson Dam, which is where the traffic from Monroe goes to Oxford. And the problem with that is the state doesn't own it. It's the only road, the only interstate in the state where the state doesn't own it. So it's well maintained. And, but, you know, it's, you know, to me, you have to look at this in macroscopically rather than microscopically. I mean, I support the project, but I'm wondering whether it's gonna be adequate in light of what they're gonna do. And maybe we should get an answer to that before we act.
Well,
I agree with his frustration, totally,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I just respond to that.
Please.
And Mark may also have a comment. The design of this section of the road is 4 lanes. So it actually extends the 4-lane road that exists across the Atwater Bridge, over the Naugatuck River, under Route 8, and then into downtown Derby to the downtown bridge. At that point, it becomes a 2-lane road again, all the way up to Stevenson Dam, and actually all the way to Newtown. But most of the traffic movements, when they get to the Derby Shelton Bridge, cross the bridge to Shelton. That's most of the traffic today. You're correct. Truck traffic, once it's restored, if they build a new bridge across Lake Zor, below Lake Zor.
Well, if I go down to see Zeke, but, you know, and I take 34, you're waiting in line for that light as it is.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. You know, maybe somebody should get a big picture on this.
Well, no. What I'd say is that we're comfortable, I think, as an agency, that the design will more than accommodate the truck traffic. We're actually concerned about the section from downtown Derby to Oxford, to the dam. That section of the road is not
That'll be the
appropriate to
bottleneck.
handle it's not appropriate to handle that larger truck traffic.
Yeah.
There are no shoulders. The road's barely 25 feet wide in some cases. And we've had more fatalities and collisions on that road than I think almost anywhere else in the region.
In every town that's on that road.
Yeah. But in reference to this particular project, the question for the board is whether you're comfortable spending $4 million of the Lotsa allocation. The entire, and to be clear, I want to make sure I'm clear on this, because Deputy Commissioner Rolfe did raise the issue. The entire project is eligible for Lotsa. Theoretically, they're roads, they're all roads, including the state facilities, that meet the functional classification requirements for the program. So the whole $27 million is theoretically eligible for Lotsa. Our practice has not been to fund state facilities with the local road money, with the Lotsa money. $4 million is a number that we think is rounded up above the actual cost of the additional incremental cost of the local roads and the amenities. So I would encourage you today to adopt the resolution with resolution 2021-17 with a $4 million allocation, and that will, at least even if the state's not happy, to allow us to continue to have conversations.
And also, Rick, we had that meeting last week with the Valley Transit with Senator Murphy and Rosa DeLauro, stating that there is money coming from President Biden for infrastructure, for transportation. So listen, the money's coming.
In fairness to the department, they're trying to get this scheduled for the current fiscal year, and that's the squeeze on the money. I don't want to venture a guess as to why they would not allocate money to this project or another project, but they're trying to get things programmed by June 1st so that they're finished for this federal fiscal year. And that will allow them, using their fiscal authority and advanced funding authority, to go forward with the bid for contractors as soon as possible. The final design is actually today, I think a final submission got done.
So if I understand it correctly, the rub on this really is that this is a state road and they're asking for local to get involved.
Effectively, they're asking you to subsidize $5 million of state road improvements.
And Mr. Chair, if I just might add,
Mark.
we maintain a financial plan for the Lotsa program. And, we kind of track, how much money is coming into the program and how much money is going out. And we've been very aggressive with soliciting projects and programming projects. And we always maintain about a 25% over programming because we know that projects get delayed, some drop out, and so the schedules always change. So we always want to have something available so we can make sure we spend the money that we have available. And we can add a $4 million allocation to the Route 34 project, for effectively, for state fiscal year 22 without impacting the schedule of any current projects we have on it. However, if we add that, if we increase that to 9, we will start having some problem in 23, 24, and 25. And that becomes our sort of concern. We have been doing our due diligence with, soliciting our local projects, programming. Towns have been doing the design and have an understanding of when the funding might be available. Again, $4 million we can add in, and I think we'll be okay, going forward. Increasing it to 9 million becomes problematic. And again, I think it just sets.
Lost your mind, lost your volume.
Rick, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the 4 million.
I second it.
All right,
Could I?
Mark, we got
On
a
the floor,
motion.
is your discussion?
We have a motion in a second before we call a vote. Discussion.
All right, Jeff Manville, what I'm hearing here is that is not the practice for this lots of money to be put into state roads. What I'm also hearing here is that we can absorb, we're being told we can absorb the 4 million right now. But again, this is, if we do this, this is taking away from our local, financing of our local roads. I have a problem with that. That's not the design of the LOTSIP money. I think we need to put the pressure onto the state. And if the money comes from the federal government, I mean, 4 million may not sound like a lot in the scheme of things, but if down the road we don't have, it's in 20, what'd you say, 20, Mr. Nielsen, 2024 could be a problem?
Mr. First Selectman, I might not have been clear about this. The $4 million we're asking you, we're recommending that you allocate is for local roads. It's not for state roads.
Okay,
They're asking for 9 million total. The 5 million additional would have been effectively subsidizing the state road. But the 4 million is for city streets.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it.
That does make it
Get your foot in
clear,
the door.
Yeah.
because candidly, that was the way I saw it, the way Jeff saw it as well.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get in the habit of funding state road projects with local transportation funding.
They'll have us do 84.
It would ultimately deprive other communities of utilizing those funds. But if it's in fact our local roads that need improvement in order to facilitate this project, that's a different story.
And that those roads that Rick was talking about go around.
I'm comfortable with that. Thank you.
But that's how it reads. That's how it reads here, right? The funding for improvement of local roads impacted by Route 34 construction.
Right, but the way it was described, Tom, was that it was, we're essentially assisting, and it was
probably my fault.
misunderstanding.
I was
It was
probably
a
not clear.
misunderstanding.
I
that
think
we're
we all want to be on the same page, so, yeah.
Yeah, no, we're all on the same page now. It's
Thank
for
you.
actual local roads, and I have a motion in a second. Is there any further discussion on this matter? If not, I'll call the vote. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Any opposed? Hearing none, approved for 4 million. Resolution will have to be revised because it says 3.
Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome, Zeke. So moving along to item B, under Item number 6, update and status.
I really don't have much to report this month. Most of our projects, last month I mentioned that we had 4 projects that were out for advertising. The bids have come in and they're in the process of reviewing the bids, and these projects will be awarded very soon and getting out to construction. So I think we talked about the overall program just previously, so I think I'm good.
Okay, thank you. I'll just state that the long-awaited Thomas and Hickory Hill project is moving along extremely well. I've got a great contractor who's doing a fantastic job, and they may well get this job done much sooner than the 2-year period that was allocated for it.
Put yourself.
Long way, long way, long way. Thank you. Yeah. George, hey, George, do you want to give me the attaboy? Next matter would be item C. We just talked about it. Well, no, we did not. Ansonia, please. Ansonia Woodbury, Mark.
Yeah, as you remember, we had the department asked the COG to solicit member communities for proposals for corridor planning studies. They're allocating some planning dollars to do these kinds of more detailed planning and preliminary engineering type of studies. We sent out the request to all our members, and we received 2 proposals. Ansonia has submitted a proposal to do a planning and preliminary engineering assessment for the possible relocation of Route 334, which would make a more direct connection between the downtown area and Route 8. The town of Woodbury submitted a proposal to look at safety and the traffic condition on US Route 6 that passes through Woodbury. The primary focus of this would be in their town center area where there's a lot of businesses and a lot of people walking. And this has been an ongoing issue of how to manage the traffic and ensure safety. So the COG does get to submit up to 3. We only did receive 2, so there's no need to rank or set priorities. So the resolution that we're proposing is adopting and endorsing the corridor planning studies that have been submitted and allowing us to submit to the department for consideration. I will mention that CONDOT does. The money isn't guaranteed. The department still will review these proposals and then make the ultimate determination of whether to fund or not. But we have 2 currently underway, so we're hopeful that we'd probably get funding for these 2 as well.
Thank you. So therefore, I'm seeking a motion, a resolution 2021-18 endorsement corridor planning study. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
John?
Second.
That sounds like Sheila to me.
No, it's Barbara Perkinson.
Barbara? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Oh, Woodbury. Or any opposed? Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate that. That is Sheila.
Most welcome. Next matter, is there anything other?
Just one note for you, Mr. Chairman. So we will wait on the state's directives for public meetings, and for meetings like this, we'll meet with the executive board and we'll lay out a policy and protocol, but we're assuming that we're going to be headed back to live in-person meetings, full room at some point this summer. Yeah. So, but we may delay letting the public in or non-staff, non-members.
So you said you're coming up with a policy on it, right?
Yeah, we'll devise a policy for the meetings, but we're gonna wait until we get the governor or the Connecticut Department of Health guidance beyond the CDC guidance.
Because what we had last night at our Alderman meeting, we had a couple that are still skittish about coming to a in-person meeting, so
yeah,
you may have that.
Yeah, no, I think we're gonna continue to provide the remote meeting facility. And we encourage our staff, if you feel uncomfortable, wear a mask. Most of us are still wearing masks during the day. I took mine for this meeting, so you could hear me speak, because you love to hear me speak, right?
Yes.
You look a lot better with a mask.
I do look better. Thank you for selecting that.
And on that note.
And that, no, motion to adjourn. By Zeke,
Yes.
motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, Mr. Temple, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
I know that. We don't have to ask any further. Thank you all for attending. Hope to see you all in the flesh soon.
The revenue make, wouldn't.
Great weekend.
Great weekend. Everyone. Good.
Oh,